Today we're going to talk about waiting and being patient and waiting and then waiting some more sometimes and then waiting some more. You ever get impatient? Yeah? Do you ever go through the drive-thru line because you think it's going to be quick? And it's not? You could have just went ahead and went and sat down at Jalapeno Tree and enjoyed the meal in about the same amount of time as waiting on the drive-thru line. This commercial is kind of old. It's one of my favorite commercials. And I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to do this. And you may relate, you may not, I don't know, but we'll go ahead and play that real quick. You may have to kill this lot for, I don't know if you can see that or not. We'll go ahead and play it.
Thank you. Oh, can we get some extra napkins?
Can we get some extra napkins? Thanks.
Here. Honey, can I get extra ketchup, please?
Yeah. Extra ketchup. Steakhouse, please.
I don't know about you, but I thought that's hilarious. Anybody else? Just me? Anybody else want to do that sometimes? Yeah, for sure. I know I do. You awake? You good? Y'all good? Has it been a long week? It's been a long week for me too. It's kind of rough. And I found myself this week in the middle of, I don't know if I want to call it warfare, but it's probably some warfare involved. And I was really desperately seeking some direction from God. I was desperately seeking to hear from God about some stuff, some personal stuff that's going on in my life, some work stuff that's going on in my life, some spiritual stuff that's going on in my life, some church stuff that's going on in my life. It seemed to all pile up this week. And like I was just asking God, can you just send me a text or something? Because I don't even know if I'm hearing what I'm supposed to be hearing or what I'm hearing or what, I don't even know. It got just, I finally threw my hands up and was like, I don't know, God. You're going to have to send me a picture with big, bold letters on it or something so I can see or so I can hear something. And guess what? Nothing happened. I didn't get a text from God. I didn't get a letter in the mail with big, bold letters and bright colored pictures like I wanted. I didn't get it. And so I started getting a little frustrated and I started getting a little agitated. And I started saying, well, what do you want me to do, God? What do you want me to do? And come on now, what's going on? And I start contemplating taking things into my own hands here. That's not a good idea, but why do we do it? Am I the only one? Golly, last week we talked about the in-between stage of getting out of Egypt and coming up on the Red Sea and everybody thought they were going to die and they were blaming Moses and everything and they were just complaining and everything, and there's this process that should have only been 11 days that took 40 years and this whole week this week I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, and I wanted to kind of continue that and kind of keep going with it and keep talking about it because I feel like there's so much more involved in that. And so I kept asking God, what direction, what do we talk about? What do I need to hit on? What do we need to hear? What do I need to hear? What do I need to know? And I kept asking and asking and praying and reading, and I wasn't getting nowhere. And then yesterday morning, I got up early and I fixed me some coffee and I made some biscuits and some bacon and some gravy, and I got me some eggs going, and it's just me, and I love in the morning. I love the morning time. I love waking up early and fixing breakfast. It's my favorite part of the day. I don't know what it is. I love it. And anyway, so I'm getting everything going and everything's ready and the biscuits are done. the gravy's done, everything's done. I'm fixing my plate, and I couldn't wait to dip that biscuit in that gravy. Since it's just me, it didn't matter if I just dipped the biscuit right into the pot, like with gravy. And so I get it, and I bite it, and oh my gosh, my tongue and my mouth still hurt today because I burned my mouth. Because I couldn't be patient for just a few seconds to let it cool off. I'm wringing just a hair up here. Kind of hurting my ears. I couldn't wait for just a second to let it cool off. I had to be impatient and go ahead and bite into that thing and burn my tongue. And now, did you ever do that? And then you keep testing it? But you can't take a drink of the coffee because it's hot too. And then before it's over, then now you can't even taste the goodness because your mouth's all burnt up. Isn't that frustrating? Golly. And then God told me, He made me realize, He revealed something to me. Like, you need some patience, boy. That's how God talks to me, I think. It's like, work on some patience there, mister. I don't know, does God talk to y'all that way? That's how it works for me. So I started thinking, oh, okay, patience. You ever get smart with God? I'm sorry, I'm probably not a good example of conversation with God because we talk sometimes like we're brothers rather than anything else. Because I have to question, because I'm hard-headed and I'm not patient. And I want things done right now. And so he started talking to me, he started downloading some stuff, and I heard a couple of other messages earlier this week, and I kind of took some bits and pieces from them, and I realized that God had actually been talking to me all week about everything. I just wasn't listening. And I was choosing to do things my way regardless of Him actually speaking. So God was still working, even though He wasn't like big, bright, flashing lights and answering the way I wanted Him to answer me. He was still answering me. He was still talking. He was still showing me. Because as I got to yesterday morning, did all of a sudden things kind of start clicking, and I started realizing, oh, okay, well, maybe it is my fault this time. So anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're talking about the things that won't let you move forward, like that person in front of you at the drive-thru that refuses. Like, what do they do? What did they order? What in the world? Like, I went to Whataburger the other day and I ordered a honey chicken biscuit. Of course, I was in Terrell. I wasn't at this one. I was in Terrell, and I love the honey chicken biscuit. I love that thing, and I ordered it, and I could not wait. I was so excited. And I don't know what took them so long, but I was ready to get out of the car and go ask them what was happening. There wasn't even anybody in front of me when I ordered. Did they just now fire up the grill? What happened? Were they closed? I don't know. And as I was about to just be like, you know what, I'm about to go in here and find out what's going on, she finally came out. She's like, I'm so sorry. She said somebody cleared it off the screen and thought it had already been handed out, and it hadn't been. So here, we gave you an extra apple pie. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll take that. No hard feelings. So we're going to talk about the things like, okay, and do you ever like ask God for something and like He just seems like He just won't come through? Or do you ever feel like you're talking to God but He's not responding? Do you ever feel like you're trying to get somewhere with God? You're trying to get somewhere on this journey, that it's something maybe He's called you to do and called you to be, and you're trying to do it, but like you're just not hearing, and you're not getting anything, and you're just not. you're just not getting it, or he's just not coming through. Do you ever deal with that? Like, there's so many examples in life of how we lose our patience, and like, we want things to happen so fast and so quick, but we often just decide, okay, well, I'm not waiting any longer, and I'm going to do things this way and that way, but we don't have clear direction. We just start going and going, and all of a sudden, we've made a bigger mess, and we've prolonged the process. Now we've got all this cleanup that's got to get done before we actually move forward. Let's just get to the scripture. We're going to be in James chapter 5. I'm going to be kind of a little bit back and forth, a couple different places, but we're going to kind of zero in here real quick. And we're going to read through this for just a second, and I'm going to talk about it for just a second. But as we're waiting on the Lord, we're waiting on God, and we're waiting on God. And so the definition, I heard somebody say this, waiting on the Lord means do not go outside of God to resolve your issue. Waiting on the Lord means to do not go outside of God to resolve your issue. Don't take things into your own hands. There is a temptation to take matters into your own hands. There is a temptation to make things happen. When it's not coming through the way we want, on our time, we decide to take it into our own hands and go for it. When we know we're not clearly hearing, when we know we don't have clear direction, and we keep asking, and the deadline's coming, here's one thing: God doesn't. I don't think God. Deadlines don't mean anything to him. I guess, I don't know, but maybe his deadlines and our deadlines are different, because we're seeing things only that are benefiting us and not benefiting the kingdom. Our eyes are focused only on our personal issues and not the kingdom of God. So here we go. We're going to talk about this for a minute. We're going to read through this, and then we're going to kind of go explain a little bit. James chapter 5, verse 7 is where we're going to be. If you will follow along with me, that would be great. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, be patient as you wait for the Lord's return," which is his divine intervention. Like, consider the farmers who patiently wait for the rains in the fall and in the spring. They eagerly look for the valuable harvest to ripen. You too must be patient. Take courage, for the coming of the Lord is near. His divine intervention is near. Don't grumble about each other. Stop complaining, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. For look, the judge is standing at the door. For examples of patience in suffering, dear brothers and sisters, look at the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. We give great honor to those who endure under suffering. For instance, you know about Job, a man of great endurance. And if you don't know about Job, go read Job. He went through some stuff. Like, talk about a rough life. Anyway, talk about that later. Go look up Job, a man of great endurance. You can see how the Lord was kind to him at the end, for the Lord is full of tenderness and mercy. But most of all, my brothers and sisters, never take oath by heaven or earth or anything else. Just say a simple yes or no. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, so that you will not sin and be condemned. If God hasn't given you an answer yet and somebody's needing an answer from you, guess what? I don't have an answer yet. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you don't have direction, don't go. Wait. Be patient. I know it's hard. I dealt with that this week. I was getting pressure. I was getting pressure for several things at the same time, and they needed to know an answer. They needed to know this. They needed to know this, and I didn't know. And finally, I gave an answer, and it was the wrong one. Wait on the Lord, because if you go outside of God to make it happen, apart from God, you delay God in his intervention. I'll say it again. Wait on the Lord, because if you go outside of God to make it happen, apart from God, when you start to take things into your own hands, when you delay God in His intervention. Here's why. It's in verse. What is the number one thing that happens when we get impatient and we're not hearing from God? Complain about it. Yeah, we make bad decisions. We complain about it. We gripe. Someone's not doing the things that we want them to do the way we want them to do it. We complain. We start complaining. We start having issues with this person. I'm not going to mention any names. I know this person that, like, is very close to me, and she always talks about wanting help in the kitchen and stuff, and so you go and try to help, and then she's like, "Here, do it this way, do it like this, and do it like this," and finally, it's like, you know what? I ain't helping you, because it ain't matter how I do it, it's not going to be right. And eventually, she has no help again, because everything has to be done a certain way. Like, I may not hold the pan the same way while I'm washing it in the sink, but I'm still washing it. I'm still doing it, just because I'm not holding it the way you want it to hold. Do you know what I'm talking about? But see, we start complaining and we get impatient, so we start complaining, we start grumbling, and we start blaming, and we start thinking outside of God. We start thinking outside of His will. We start taking things into our own hands, and we want to do it our way all of a sudden because it makes more sense. But what we forgot is that there may be something else down the road that we're not aware of and that we're not prepared for. Moving on. It's in chapter 9, verse 9 on chapter 5 there. It says, "Do not grumble." That's where I'm talking about that. Complaining. Oh yeah. Every opportunity we have to complain is also an opportunity we have to worship. In every situation, we have the opportunity to worship, or we have the opportunity to complain. In every situation, when there's something going on, when we have an opportunity to complain about what's going on or how it's going on, we also have an opportunity to worship. If we have a complaining spirit, that means we become a whiner against God and against others because we're tired of waiting. This, for example, let me see here. Do not grumble about each other, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. For look, the judge is standing at the door. So instead of God being our deliverer, He has to become our judge. Because we're complaining about the situation. We're getting frustrated. We're getting tired. And it's not because we're getting tired of ourselves. It's because we're getting tired of God not delivering. We have this mindset that when we pray for something, that we're going to go to sleep and Santa will deliver it the next day. Has anybody in here ever planted a garden or planted a plant? What happens? They're going to die. Yeah, before the death, you plant it and then you wait. Yeah. You plant it and you wait. You wait for the varmints to eat it. See, we want to plant a seed and wake up the next day and have a tree. Or have a plant. And we're disappointed every time. And we're frustrated. And if you sit there and watch, I remember our girls, I don't remember when they were, I don't remember what grade they were in, but their assignment was they had to plant some kind of bean or something or whatever, and they were going to watch it grow. And they got it all ready, and they got it done, and they planted it, and they set it in the window, and then they got the chair, and they sat there. I'm like, look, baby, you're not gonna be able to watch it grow. Like, you have to, over a time, like maybe in a few days you'll be able to see something, but we're gonna watch it. Okay, but it's gonna take some time, okay? And it didn't last very long. They got tired of watching it. So they put the chairs up and they went and played, and they actually forgot about the plant until a few days later, and they realized it had sprouted. They were like, oh my gosh! The plant, look, you can see it. What is it about our prayers that we think that God is just going to magically make everything happen on our time when we want it, the way we want it, how we want it, where we want it? We don't want to wait on the process. I got a lot more to cover. There's plenty of examples of people waiting in the Bible. There's plenty of, just Abraham and Sarah had to wait 25 years for the child. Noah had to wait 120 years for the first storm cloud to come. Could you imagine if you felt like God was telling you to build this big giant boat and put all these animals on it and wait? We would think you're crazy. And then you got to wait 125 years before the first cloud even showed up? Think he got impatient at all? We get impatient over a couple of hours sometimes, or a few minutes. And he had to wait 125 years. I would start to question things. Okay, God, I'm looking like a fool here. Come on. Just me? I don't know. And then Jesus told the disciples they had to go and wait on the Holy Spirit. There's time after time after time. There's waiting. There's waiting. If you know anything about the Christian life, there's all this waiting that we got to do. There's always waiting. There's always waiting. I'm going to move on. If you ever go to the doctor because you got something wrong with you, and they give you some medicine, and you take the medicine, what do you got to do? You got to wait on it to start working, right? You can read about it all you want. You can meditate on it. You talk to your friends about it. You can let the doctors and the commercials tell you about it. But if you don't take it, you're just going to keep waiting. Keep waiting. You got to take it, and then you got to wait for it to start working, so it'll start changing something. I don't take medicine. It's got to be pretty bad for me to take an Advil sometimes. I just don't know. I just don't take medicine very often. And I get hard-headed sometimes, and I'll just try to relax and get my headache to go away or whatever. It's got to start getting pretty bad before I start taking the medicine. But then I'm when I take the medicine, come on now, come on. I wait for it to get so bad. Anyway. Some of us wait years on something that God wanted to change in months because we choose to take things into our own hands. When God is silent, it doesn't mean he's still. When God is silent, it doesn't mean he's not still working in the background. It doesn't mean something's not still going on. I'm going to flip over real quick. We're going to get through this real quick to Psalm 105. Seth, I didn't tell you about this part because I forgot. So I don't know if you'll have that in there or not. I'm going to be in Psalm 105. I'm going to start in verse 16. And we're going to kind of run through a few things real quick and get through this. And hopefully we learn something today. So if you have a Bible or a smartphone, you want to turn to Psalm 105, follow along. In verse 16, it says, He called a famine on the land of Canaan, cutting off its food supply. Then he sent someone from Egypt ahead of them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. They bruised his feet with fetters and placed his neck in an iron collar. Until the time came to fulfill his dreams, the Lord tested Joseph's character. One reason God has us waiting is because he's doing something bigger. One reason we have to wait on God is because sometimes he's working on something bigger than just us. He sent Joseph ahead to prepare the way for the rest of the family to come in order to build the nation in the land of Egypt. Okay, do you get this? Like, he sent Joseph ahead of his family to prepare a way for the rest of the family to get there to Egypt in order to build a nation which eventually was freed from Egypt, which became Israel. How did Joseph get there? A Cadillac? Joseph had, we would have given up way before. I would have. I say we. I'm sorry. I don't mean to include you in that. I would have questioned things way quick. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, right? Taken to Egypt. See, I have it written down somewhere. The kind of order him. He's thrown into the pit, sold into slavery, sold in Egypt, and then to Potiphar's house. Things started looking better. Everything was looking good. Then he was accused of rape, which he didn't do. Then was thrown into prison again. Like setback after setback after setback. And do you ever experience that when things are starting to look a little bit better, then all of a sudden something worse happens? God sent Joseph ahead to Egypt with things that looked like was going wrong in Joseph's life. I wonder how many times something has went wrong in our life that we see it as going wrong when God was actually trying to take us somewhere. And then so instead we decide to take things into our own hands, and then all of a sudden we're back at point A when we should be arriving at point C. I wonder how many times God has placed an obstacle or a situation in our life that in our mind it looks like everything is going wrong, and so instead of being patient and obedient and waiting on God to come through, we take things in our own hands, we do things our way, and what we've done is we've set ourselves back farther instead of going forward. I'm guilty. Like the guiltiest, probably. Like there has been obstacle after obstacle after obstacle that has come up in my life that I know now that I got impatient, I got mad, and I decided, well, you know what? I'll just do things my way. We don't say it like that. We don't tell God, okay, you know what? Since you're not going to do it, I'll do it. But that's what we do. We don't tell God that. We don't say that. We don't say it that way, but that's what we do. And here's the thing. It all comes down to this. This is the main point. Don't miss this one, because this is what God showed me this week, and it changed everything for me. It said, until the time came to fulfill his dreams, the Lord tested Joseph's character. God allows circumstances to pop up in our life in order to grow us spiritually. He's much more concerned about changing you rather than giving you the blessing that you're asking for. He's much more concerned with changing our life and developing us spiritually than he is concerned about giving us the stuff. He's so much more in love with us that he wants to see our hearts grow stronger and deeper in love with him. He's so much more in love with us that he wants to see us changed and transformed spiritually than he wants to see us get the stuff. He tests Joseph's character. He tests my character. He tested it this week. And through the past year of this journey, he has been testing my character nonstop. And I have failed a lot of times. I have failed a lot of times. But he's still growing me. He hasn't given up on me. He still has had patience with me. Even when I didn't have patience with him, he had patience with me. He's had patience with us. He's had patience with this place. Because he's got something better. He's got something bigger. He's got something better and bigger and greater at hand. It may not be about big numbers. It may not be about a bigger, fancier building. It may not be about having fancy lights. It may not be about having fancy stuff. It may not be about having lots of people. It may be about taking the ones who are here and taking us deeper. It may be only that, taking us individually, the ones that are here, the ones that choose to be here. It may be taking us deeper because there may be something ahead. Somewhere else he's planning on taking one of us or all of us. There may be something else ahead, but the main concern is he wants to take us deeper. He wants to grow us spiritually. But are we willing to wait? And are we willing to wait in obedience? Are we willing to celebrate the good times and the bad times? Are we willing to worship him when things don't look the way we think they should look? Are we willing to worship him instead of getting involved in the gossip and the complaining and the hate? Because when we do that, we turn against God. When we start complaining, then what happens? We start teaming up because we tell somebody, you know what? I can't stand the way this is, and I don't like that. I don't like this. And then you team up and I don't like it either. Yeah, well, we should do something. You know what? Let's split off of here and let's start our own church. God wasn't telling you to go start your church. That was the enemy driving a wedge and driving you out. There's things that happen and we have a choice. We can worship or we can check out. We can get offended and we can let that offense drive deep and we can let that drive us out, or we can choose to worship God and look, it's not in my control. God's got this. God's going to handle it. It doesn't matter what it looks like here. It may look like something completely different. I'm trusting God to take care of it. I may not like the situation. I may not like the circumstance. I may not like what's actually going on, but I'm trusting that God's going to take care of it. And I'm going to sing and I'm going to be happy because I got to wake up another day and I got to love my kids another day and I got to love my parents another day. It's not about the stuff. Sometimes I wonder, we just had Thanksgiving and I started wondering, we always say what we're thankful for and all this and all the stuff that we're thankful for, the family, the house, the cars, the job and this and that. But, what about the things we're thankful for? Like, what about the sickness that we didn't get? What about the illness that isn't killing us? I had a woman that she was talking about, she had to bury her kids from a car accident the day before Thanksgiving. I would have a hard time, as of anybody. I'm thankful for not having to bury my kids. I'm thankful that I still have someone to love. I'm thankful that I still get to put my arms around them. It may not be as much and as often as I want, but I still get to talk to them. I still get to tell them I love them. I still get to put my arms around them. I still get to tell my parents I love them. I still get to see them. I still have a God that hasn't given up on me. I still have a God that loves me and wants to take me deeper and take me farther. Not farther with the stuff, but farther in the Spirit. I want more. I don't know about you, but I want more. I want to go deeper. I want that wild, crazy ride that God has. I want that. I want more. I want to see what God can do here. And I'm trusting that God has this place in his hands. And it doesn't matter which way he wants to go. I want to be celebrating the way he's taken us. I want to be celebrating the things that he's doing. I don't want to be catching myself complaining about the things he's not doing because I can't see the way I want to see. It's not happening the way I want it to happen. I don't want to get selfish. A lot of our complaining is there's a root of selfishness in that. I want to see what God can do with the families here. I want to see what God can do to the lives of the people that are coming here. I want to see what God can do to change this county. I want to see what God can do when we get on board with his will and we be patient and we stop complaining and we be obedient and we take the steps that we need to take. Like I said last week, we can't focus on the road and all the things that are going on. We got to focus on that step, that next step, one foot in front of the other. We got to focus on taking the next step. We can't focus on C before we take the step B. We can't be focused on down the line. We got to be focused on that next step. We can't get caught up in all the things that don't look the way we think it should look. We've got to be obedient in our waiting. Sometimes that waiting looks like standing out in the rain by ourselves with no umbrella, with the bus driving by splashing more water on us. God showed me this week that I'm not being patient. And with me not being patient, I'm prolonging the process. If I'll be obedient and take the steps that he's calling me to do and wait when he says wait. Wait on that next step. Wait on that next call. Wait on that next thing. And let God do his work and quit trying to take things into my own hands. If I'll do it that way, it'll be better. It'll be less stressful. It'll be less heartache. It'll be less pain. Well, sometimes. But in the end, it'll be better. If we'll be obedient in the process, we'll be better off. So I'm going to open it up because we quit doing that and I want to start doing that. I want to open it up. I'm going to close. We're going to play for a minute. And I'm going to give you the opportunity. I'm going to ask Howard and Seth and I'm trying to think. We need sorry, I can't see. I don't know who else in here. If you're on the prayer team or whatever and if you need prayer, I'm going to ask you if you need something, come down here and somebody will pray for you or pray with you. Maybe you found yourself in that waiting, and it's getting hard, it's getting long, and you're getting impatient. I know it's rough. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. But I'm going to open it up. If you need some prayer, come down to the front and pray. If you don't have to pray with someone, if you want to just come down here and lay down and get alone with God, get alone with God. If you want to get somewhere in the corner and get alone with God, get alone with God. It doesn't matter where you do or how you do it. Get alone with God and seek Him out and seek direction, and He'll speak to you. I promise. He may tell you to wait, but if He tells you to wait, it's okay. Be obedient in the process. But Jason, if you don't mind, we're gonna go ahead and dim the light. We're gonna play for just a minute, and that's what I'm just asking you to get along with God right now, and whatever it is. If it's change in your life that needs to happen, if it's transformation in your life that needs to happen, if you know God's calling you out of Egypt, if you know God's calling you out of the grave, let Him take you. Let Him have control. Let Him have your life. Let Him have it. Let Him take it. And let Him transform it.